So today I'm going to show you a little bit about how you can go about doing exercise 14.1.1. The nice thing about this exercise is there's nothing really new to learn. Everything that's in it you've already learned before. It's just that we're going to be using it in a little bit of a different way. So in the first example we see that we're given a note. Here it starts with a D. And we're asked to identify the key and write the 5/7 chord. Well, writing the 5/7 chord is easy because we know that we need a major third, because every 5/7 chord is dominant seventh, so it's a major minor seventh. We need a major third, a perfect fifth, and a minor seventh. Okay, and that is our 5/7 chord in the key of, you can guess it, G major, because we just count D, C, B, A, G. So we know that we're in G major. This is a 5/7 chord in G major. The second one is similar. We need a 5/7 chord in F sharp. Well, we can just go down a perfect fifth, and we see that this is a 5/7 chord in the key of B. And then to write it, we'll do the same thing. We put a minor seventh, a major third, and a perfect fifth. Okay, so these are all going to be done in the same way. And the second example is kind of similar. We're given a note, and we have to write a German chord. So here we have this German chord. So we know in a German chord we always need a diatonic third, a major third above the bass note. So that'll be B. And we also know that we need in a German a perfect fifth above the bass. The German chord needs a perfect fifth above the bass, so that's there. And then we also need an augmented sixth. Well, if I write a major sixth, and then I raise it a half step, that makes it an augmented sixth. So this is a German chord, and we know that this would go up to F sharp, and this would go down to F sharp. So if this is a half step below scale degree, below, and a half step above, these notes that those resolve to should be the same note, and here it's both F sharp. So this is F sharp is scale degree 5 in the key of B. But also remember that the root of a German chord, or the key of a German chord, is always the major third above the bass. Okay? So if I look here in the second example, I can look in the second example and I see a D, and I need to write a German chord. So I'll write a perfect fifth above the bass. I'll write a major third above the bass, and that major third, by the way, is going to be the key. This is in the key of F sharp. It could be major or minor, that doesn't matter. And then I also need an augmented sixth, so I'll go to a major sixth above the bass, which is a B, and then I'll raise it by a half step. Okay, and so that's how we're going to do this second example. Now the third example is a little bit more involved, but it's not really any different too much. We start here with a 5/7 chord, C, G, E, and B flat. And remember, when we're going from a German chord to a 5/7 chord, or a 5/7 chord to a German chord, we just either change the seventh, and that becomes an augmented sixth, or we change the augmented sixth, and that becomes the seventh of the new chord, and everything else is the same. So this is a 5/7 chord in the key of F. Okay, if I want to write it, I don't really know what key it's going to be in, but I know it's going to be a German chord in the next key. I'm going to leave the bass note the same, I'm going to leave the G the same, the E the same, and then I'm going to take the B flat and make it an A sharp. Just write that enharmonically, because this is enharmonic modulation, and that's automatically a German chord. Okay, and if you need to know what key it's a German chord in, we just use the previous exercise, and we see that a third above the bass, which is an E, is the key that we're in. So this is a German chord in E. If you go from a 5/7 to a German, you're going to go down a half step. If you go from a German to a 5/7, you're going to go up a half step. Okay? And I can show you the same thing in the next example. We see in the next example that happens to be an augmented sixth chord, right? I have an E, and I have a B, and I have a G sharp, and a C double sharp, and that's my augmented sixth. So again, I'm going to use the rule that whatever the third above the bass is going to be the key. So this is a German chord in G sharp. And I'm going to rewrite that. I'm going to have an E and an E and a G sharp. And instead of a C double sharp, it's going to be a D. I'm just going to rewrite that enharmonically. And now that's pretty clear to see it's a 5/7 chord in the key of A, which happens to be a half step above that. Okay, so this is how you go about doing the German 5/7 exchange. It's not as hard as it seems. Just remember to change the change the augmented sixth to a minor seventh, or the minor seventh to an augmented sixth.